Well, hello and welcome to Splendour today. Now, through our lives, we all have many ideas, but the best thing about an idea is making it actually happen. Now, tonight is the debut of our new show, The Swingin' Singin' Years. And right now I'm here with two very important gentlemen, the gentleman behind the show, who created it, who had an idea and made it happen. So please meet Tony Benade and Mr. Steve Speelman. Good morning.
Good morning, Karen.
Now, you both must be very, very exciting, because tonight is the launch of this great show.
Very excited, very excited. We've been planning this for quite a few months now.
When did you first get the idea?
My idea? About 15 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I had the idea about 15 years ago. I started as my own act, doing a tribute to the big band swing years. My father was a drummer during that time, and I was very influenced through my teenage years. And when I was working on ships 15, 20 years ago, I did an act that was dedicated to the great swing era. And as I did the act, the idea evolved with dancers and singers, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight.
Now, Steve, how did you become involved?
Tony and I worked together on the ships years ago, the show he's talking about on the Song of America, and since then we did a couple shows together on land after that, and we've sort of kept in touch just briefly throughout the years since Tony left the company Royal Caribbean. I continued on. I was a band leader on board the ships for years, and when I came into the office with Royal Caribbean about 6 years ago, I can't remember if I contacted Tony or Tony contacted me, but we started talking about this idea then. So we were talking about this 5 to 6 years ago about doing this, and basically on my end it was like when the timing was right, I was going to be giving him a call, and sure enough, that's what happened. We started to develop new ideas in the office about how to improve our product, give the passengers more options, and to be ship-specific as far as what our clientele is looking for on particular cruises. And so came up the idea, so let's do a big band show. And one of my first calls was to Tony Benade, and from there it all started rolling from there. So it's something we've both been talking about doing for a while, and the timing was right, and here we are. So.
Because it's great now for you to actually see it happen. Like tonight's going to be a very exciting night. A lot of work's gone on behind the scenes, and you both work very closely with the musicians. Did it take a lot for the guys to learn the music and adapt to the swing era, do you think?
Well, these guys are great players, so that was the least of my concerns. Of course, they nailed the first time they played through it, they nailed it. Little things here and there, but it's a very tight show right now. The band is pumped up for it as well. The things that I was nervous about is I've never really used dancers in this sort of form before, and so I was depending entirely on our other part of the Revue staff in the office to get the right people to choreograph the show for the vocal arrangements and such. So that's the nervous part. And so seeing the creation come from there has been the part we're a little bit shaky on, but now I'm very confident in the show, and it's going to be a good show.
Well, we saw like a run through last night, and I was very, very impressed. You even got the costumes from that era. Now, for you to present this, obviously this is the first ship that you're launching this on, and then what's going to happen? You're now going to go to each ship and put it on each of our different ships?
Well, we're going to keep this show on here. We've got a second show. We bought 2 shows from Tony, which we're in discussion right now what we're going to do with that show. We'll probably put it on a different ship, and then we're going to clone both the shows and put them on the Legend of the Seas for the world cruise, for the longer itineraries. So it's easier to put a show together here as opposed to it would be if we're in Tokyo. So that's why we showed the Splendour of the Seas. We have a great cast, we have a good band, and it's easier to fix problems if we're staying close to Miami at the time, and then we'll just copy both shows and put them on the Legend. But what I would like to see happen, and the office, this is why they're concerned about the show, we'd like to see the show on Voyager of the Seas, for when the new ship, the big ship, the Eagle Class ship, for Studio B, for the arena seating room, where we could be performing this show as well as the dancers could be dancing to the show as well. I mean, the passengers could be dancing, having a stage show at the same time, and people could be sitting and watching as well. So this could be a big thing for Voyager. That's what I would like to see happen with it.
And it's exciting for you because it's like your baby, and you work in the office. You have a very big position in the office. You have a lot of responsibility. Are you going to be out of the office a lot more now?
It looks like I'm going to have to be. The job has sort of evolved from... I started hiring the musicians, and then it sort of evolved to becoming a producer of sorts. Like I produce all the shows for Royal Caribbean's corporate events and things of that nature. Anything musical on board the ship is my responsibility, like the Sharon Andrews Trio or the Dave Derrick Quartet in the aft lounge, Roxanne Hill in the piano bar, and all the musicians on stage. The job itself, I have to cover all bases on the ship as far as keeping the continuity of what the Royal Caribbean wants to happen. So now it's evolved to me producing this show, and so it's who knows where it's going to go from here. I mean, I'm excited about it. My girlfriend back home isn't too excited about it. Takes me out of town a bit too often. But her day will come. She'll be coming along occasionally. So it's fun. This is what, I'm still in the business. I was a musician by trade, so I'm still here doing what I was probably meant to be doing. So.
Is it funny now for you, after all this time being away from ships, to be back on the ship and to a certain degree living the life, Is it funny to go back? Do you think it's changed a lot?
Let's ask Tony this one. Tony was cruise director with this company for years, and he brought, for example, the Song of America out. So tell us your perspective of what you...
Yeah, it is incredible, Karen. I come on board these ships. They are absolutely beautiful. I see the technology they have of doing a show like this on a ship like this, the Revue shows, the technology they have. It's exciting. It really is exciting. I dreamed about these things 15, 20 years ago, how wonderful it would be if we could do things like this. And now to see it being done is an incredible experience. As I look around the vessel, I see many, many wonderful things that, of course, were developed over the years, and I see how they've been carried through. It's like reading a book, and it's a tremendous experience. I feel very much a part of it, of Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. I spent 12 years with the company, and to see all the things happening today is an involvement, and it's, of course, still evolving, is an exciting experience. The thing I'm very grateful with Steve and Royal Caribbean, too, in terms of this show, is the tremendous backup that I have had. The concept is one thing. To bring it forth, it's like the Super Bowl. One person can be the coach of the team, but you need a lot of players out there. You need a lot of assistant coaches. Royal Caribbean has hired, I think, the greatest swing choreographer in the business, who I'm sure you're going to be interviewing in a few moments. His contribution to the show is incredible. Their vocal coach, who has coached the singers in this show, has captured the true spirit of swing music. And the show itself is not just entertainment. It was designed to take people back like a time capsule for those who may remember that era, to be able to say, yes, I remember that. I was there, just like I remember this ship as I'm going around. And it takes you back. That's a wonderful experience. It's part of entertainment. And for the younger people who were not there at that time, it's an educational process. They're going to grasp, hopefully, what the feel of that era was. Your dancers, your musicians, your singers, these kids have worked incredibly hard, not only mastering this new show, but maintaining the great shows you have on board. The Beat Goes On. What a great show that was the other night. I just enjoyed it so much. So everybody has worked very hard in this, and to see it coming together, and now as the person who created the concept, to sit back and say, well, I can't actually get up there and perform it. You have to just sit back and watch other people do their job and turn it over to them. It's exciting. It's exhilarating, truly.
This show was, Tony and I discussed what we wanted on the show. He's calling me, is this going to work? Is that going to work? I don't know. We put the show together on the ship. We met, the choreographer and the vocal arranger, we met on the ship, 11 days ago. And that's when we first started developing what we're going to do. We knew what we were going to do, but we didn't know what we were going to do. And Tony, the choreographer, was a real mild-mannered kind of guy, as you'll see. He told us his ideas of what he wanted to, how he perceived the show. And we went, it's like an old Mickey Rooney movie, let's do a show, But it actually happened right here on board the ship, developing it. We all had our ideas, and then we put it together. We did some changes here or there. So it's really exciting to see it. Now tonight, we're going to see how it reacts to the people. So it's interesting.
Swing, though, as well, although it's a different era, but it is enjoying a new comeback now. I mean, Really, times have done a big circle, a full circle, and a lot of young people, a lot of our modern day bands are playing swing music.
And they think they invented it.
I know, well,
that's what's
that's
funny.
the way.
Have you heard the swing band? And I go, yeah, well, we've been there before. So.
About 20 years ago, or even through the past years, I've done many performances myself, as I say, based on this music, and it's always received a very good response. But you always look at your audience, and you hope they are passengers or guests that are of the age bracket that remember this. But today, what's so exciting in California, I'm getting calls to work high school proms and to play swing music. It scares the daylights out of us at first, because you say, we're going to play for high school kids, and they're going to play this music. And these young kids, 17 and 18 years old, will come up to us and ask for a specific song with the actual band leader's name attached to it. In other words, do you know Tommy Dorsey's Opus No. 1? This is coming out of the mouth of a 17 or 18-year-old.
Unbelievable.
It is wonderful. It's so exciting.
Well, what we're going to do tonight as well is test the trivia on board. Like, you've given me a quiz, which we're going to use, because following the show, we're going to move the orchestra upstairs to the Top Hat Lounge, which is going to be very exciting, because then we're going to invite all the guests to come and join us and dance. We'll be doing a jitterbug competition. There'll be trivia up there. I think it's going to be very, very good fun, because everyone can watch the show, and then they can go and relax for half an hour and then come up and actually be part of their own show, so to speak.
Yeah, if we didn't offer the dance music after the show, we might have problems, because, I mean, the show, it's an exciting show, and it does encourage these passengers to dance, and they're going to want to dance, and so we're going to bump it upstairs and give them a couple hours worth of dance music for it.
Yeah, swing music is, it's not only music, it was meant to be danced to. It's a form of dance, it's a form of music. That's what we call it, the swinging, and of course the singing years. And I'm sure many of the passengers will want to dance to it. In fact, many times during my own performances, they're dancing right in the middle of the aisles for the finale. It's hard not to dance to it. So
I can't dance, though.
I can't.
Forget it.
Took me
I've
years
got a
to learn
bad
the electric
knee.
slide.
That's my excuse. I have a bad
Ladies, ask Steve to dance tonight. Now, both of you were on ships. What made you leave? Like, what made you leave, Tony?
Well, I retired in 1986. I had two small boys at the time that I was raising by myself. The boys are now 19, 20 and years old, so they're basically on their own. That was my main reason, is I wanted to raise my children, and as you well know, the lifestyle on board, although it's a wonderful
Very
lifestyle,
difficult.
yeah, it's difficult in terms of a family life.
And Steve, you left because you went to go and work in our office?
I decided to follow the exciting world of pizza delivery at the time. And I was actually on board, and I went home on a work break, and the office called me. I mean, they called me up and said, "You want to come down here and start running the program?" And so I thought about it for about 2 seconds and said yes, and here I am. So it's you know, I always feel that things go where they're supposed to go.
I think so too. I mean, the thing is, both of you were on ships. You were both you are musicians, and you realise the hours. You realise all the lip thing going on with the horn players. Oh, my chops are hurting. You understand all that, so it's easier than somebody completely from outside coming on board to work with everybody. And it's very different, isn't it? I mean, how many hours would you say has gone into putting this show together from arriving on board last cruise?
How many hours, Tony? 17 hours.
17 hours.
Well, I don't know if he threw that number out. I thought it was more 18 myself.
More 18. But, I mean, like individually, because we've rehearsed singers, we've rehearsed dancers, but I'm now with the musicians. Are you limited because of the chops? I always find this very funny expression.
There's a physical, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, for the dancers particularly, these kids are working very hard. There's a lot of energy. The rehearsals, the hours of rehearsals, probably the choreographer could tell you more in terms of hours there. Before we came on the ship, each one of the arrangements you're hearing tonight, I wrote the arrangements. Each one of those arrangements took approximately about 15 hours apiece.
That's amazing. So I remember last night you told me that.
Yes, and not to mention sitting down conceptually, dealing with my wife and I were working out the video sequences that go with the show, and we'd spend days on that. So, I mean, you're talking at least just a couple of 100 hours in conceptual and actually writing the music for the show without considering what the dancers and the singers have done and the work Steve has put into it, and
That's just
everything you
amazing.
people are doing on board.
The on-board part is difficult, is finding the time. I mean,
Yeah.
like, for example, the dancers are learning other new shows as well as learning this show. So my hat's off to them, because they have done it. This is a fantastic job with what they've been given in such a short notice. So we were having meetings to have meetings to find out when we can,
I know.
where we can have a room here, there, where we're going to use the conference room for the choreography part. When is the band available? Because they had a rehearsal for, say, with Greg Dawn from the show last night, or Hal Frazier. So there's other things going on around the ship that we have to make sure we're not interfering with in order to put this show on. If you do a show, let's say on a Broadway stage, that's your stage. It's your show. You have it any time you want.
don't have
Here
all these
we have
things.
to be careful we're not interrupting something else that's already going on for the passengers or whatever.
See, a lot of people, I think, that aren't in our business, they don't realize how much goes into it. Indeed, I never did, until I got involved in the world of entertainment. And, for example, a musician, not only are they learning the show, but the practice, you have to practice constantly, don't you, to keep in top form.
Yes, particularly in a show like this. It's different for the musicians. Most of the time, as a musician, we play for shows. We are playing the backup to the main act. But as I explained to the musicians, and as they're learning very quickly, the musicians are a part of this show.
Oh my
They are as much as involved as the dancers and the singers. And there is a tremendous amount of diversity written into the arrangements. When I say diversity, for instance, like the saxophone players are not just playing saxophone. They've got to switch to clarinets. They've got to do all of these changeovers, and it's extremely demanding, and it takes a high level of musicianship to be able to execute these type of things. In fact, I was a little concerned. I made many calls to Steve saying, "Steve, you think the guys are going to be able to do this?" He says, "Don't worry about it. We got some great musicians out there," and I found out you certainly do.
We're very proud of them. I think they're very, very talented.
Yeah, the audition process to get the musicians, there's a lot of people who want the job. I have no problems with people calling me saying, is there anything available? They're out there. But picking the right ones is a little bit more difficult, and to get the right people with the right personality and such to be able to deal with living on a ship and the long time away from home and the small cabins and everything. But the guys that we do get are professional. So that's what we're dealing with all the way down the line, from yourself to the band, the musical director, to all the bands, to the dancers. They're all pros. They're not just doing this for the, it's not a hobby to them. This is their life. And so we got some real pros we're working with out here.
Well, I can't wait for tonight, and thank you both very much.
Neither can we.
I know.
We're playing
nice
golf
for you guys
tomorrow
to sit there
after.
whew, it's all actually happening.
Yeah.
And you have another rehearsal today, or was last
Yes,
night
we
the
do.
main run
I
through?
think we have
No, we have one more today. Just let's run through it one more time, and then off we go.
Well,
And we
thank
watched
you
the
both.
baby being born tonight.
Oh, it's so exciting, and no messiness. Well, gentlemen, thank you.
Well, not yet.
Thank you for stopping by. We're going to turn to a commercial break now, and then we're going to find out just how much choreography and vocal coaching went into the swinging singing years. We'll see you in just a few moments. Thank you.